CSX Big Jim's house, Donnie, Jenny, I'm Jim O'Brien. Still to come this hour, prime rib rage. And if you're the kind of person who understands why we lost to Washington, maybe you'll get the 3 of 3 clue from Screamin' Scott coming up in a little bit. Donnie sent us this email, and this actually stirred up a little bit of conversation with my cousins over the weekend from around the country.
Oh, really?
I sent it to them because we have a very close-knit family, and I asked them the question. We'll set up the premise for everybody what's going on.
So the lady who reached out, she's 28 years old. She has a younger brother who's 24. He lost his job, and she said, you can move into my guest room until you get back on your feet, but I expect, in a couple of months that you're going to be contributing.
Gainfully employed.
So 3 months later, he has been looking for jobs a little bit, but mostly he's hanging out with his friends. He's playing video games. He has not been contributing to the house. So she's like, okay, starting next month, you're going to pay $300, whether you got a job or not. Figure it out. Now, her parents are like, why would you charge a family member rent? Why would you make money off of your brother when you're doing fine and he's struggling financially? And so that's why she wants to know, am I the jerk in this? Because I think that it's like, I don't want my brother just sitting around. Like, it's been 3 months. I feel like 3 months is a significant amount of time.
Got to motivate him a little bit. Sometimes you got to get pushed into the deep end of the pool.
Yeah.
Right? It's the old John Wayne grabbing the guy. I don't know how to swim. He just grabs the kid and throws him in. And yes.
But the
Should be
parents
paying rent. 100%.
The parents are like, he's not moving back in with us. But is also telling the daughter, like, you shouldn't be charging your brother rent. That's where I'm
crazy.
like, whoa, yo, dude.
I get if it's mom. It's a mom thing. I get an aunt that's like that. She would never turn her back, and one of kids is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And we all know him. We love him, but he's that guy.
Yeah.
He's that guy. And it always comes around like after, why don't you let him borrow your car? Like, hell no.
Yeah, right.
Not doing that. I don't, 248-398-9279 is our house phone, 248-398-WCSX. You put the post up too, right? Is it up there?
Yes.
Okay.
The post is up at WCSX.com, Big Jim's house.
So Jenny,
What do I think?
resident young person.
That's crazy to me that they're just, at this point, you're using your family. You know their good nature and that they're letting you stay at their house, and yet you are not contributing or like trying to find a job at all. So
It's not even tough love at this point. It's just common sense, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you
right.
can't freeload off me forever.
I know I would
could.
definitely let my family come live with me, of course. But after some months, if you're not contributing anything, like I get it, but stuff costs money. Like you're living in my house.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, she could take 1 to 2 roads. And actually, I talked about this, by the way. The keyword is rent, 248-398-9279. That she could take the $300 and save it back because he's going to need the money when he does move out on
Yeah,
his
that
own.
is
Because a
true.
lot of times it's first and last month's rent or what have you.
Oh, so put
But
it
if she-
aside for him?
Yeah,
Kind of
but at the same
that's
time,
smart. Yeah.
if she wanted to keep it, like I'm sure her utilities have been higher and whatnot since
for
he
sure.
moved in. And
Grocery,
$300, where can you live these days for $300?
True. I agree.
How long have you been back at home?
I've been back at home for over a year now.
Yeah, but you had a lot. There were extenuating circumstances. There was
Yeah,
stuff
the
that
murder
happened.
apartment, everything
She had a
else.
murder apartment she was living. That's a whole nother thing.
I
But yeah,
feel like
so
that's
you've been
not
there.
even an exaggeration. Like, there
not.
probably really was a murder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was blood.
There was blood everywhere, all
Yeah,
over the
there's
floor and the
blood.
carpet. There's a lot of things. That's a good reason though.
It's a
That
good
makes sense.
reason.
Yeah.
That is a very strong reason. I would want, yes, like as a parent, I would definitely be like, you're going to need to move on.
Well, you would. So you guys all agreed. So you would keep the person. You would make him, even if it's your brother, you'd make him pay rent.
Even like we did that with my niece. She lived with us when she was in her 20s. She'd gotten out of college and we were in Washington, D.C. and she wasn't really doing anything with her degree. So we were like, hey, come out here, bait. So she did, and she got good ties. And then she started working. Once she was on her feet financially, then we were like, hey, can you start paying, I think it was like $250 a month toward the house. And she moved out and got her own place rather than pay us because she was kind of offended. Like, you would charge me rent? Why would you charge me rent? I mean, now
She did him
later,
a solid. Come on.
like looking back, she was in the moment. Like looking back now, then she was like, well,
Right.
When do your parents start charging you rent?
Well, actually, my older sister lived at my parents' house. She did go to college for many years, but I think she lived in my parents' house till she was like 28. My parents are the type that you can come back whenever and like you're good. You have a place to stay. So that's luckily. But
That's awesome.
siblings, it's a little bit different because you do have your own responsibilities to do and stuff like that.
I feel like it depends too on what part of the country you grow up in. Because like in Michigan, every one of my siblings moved out when they were 18, like done. I stayed around until I was 22, so I was like the last one. And now I don't feel like that sounds very old.
It
but
really
like,
doesn't.
Yeah,
It's
on the
not.
East Coast though, a lot of people, they live at home until they're like 27, 28 till they get married. And then they get a house together. So they're saving that money back. I see the smart aspect of that.
Ryan, when he graduated from Michigan Tech, he came and lived with us before he got a full-time job at Ford. And that was the best 72 hours of my life when he was with us.
Yeah. 3 whole days, huh?
I gave him a Monday. What do you want? I got stuff to do, man.
Oh,
I got
God.
Get out of the room. I can't turn into a guest room if you're still here. You're not a guest. You're my son.